Welcome to Convos with Paige. I am your host, Paige, and we are here to have real conversations about real things, including self-care, parenting, motherhood, fatherhood, everything that surrounds who we are as individuals. But this is a safe space to talk about fears and everything in between, and I'm excited to get into it. So here we are at Calm Convos with Paige. That is me again. And I really just want to talk about who I am first before we get into more about the purpose of this podcast. I am a mother of 2 children. They are my favorite people in the world. And they have really and truly inspired me to be a better mother, a better woman, a better human being. And so in order to do that, I have to really look at a lot of things that I grew up thinking were okay and challenging a lot of beliefs and thoughts that others, my parents, my friends, my other family have, put on me. I am a licensed social worker. I graduated from Cleveland State, Vikings. And I currently am a parent educator. So I go and educate parents, speak to them and their children about things that are developmentally appropriate, activities, learning, just to make sure that they're on track to get ready for kindergarten. I'm not an expert. I'm never gonna claim to be an expert, but I have a little bit of practice.
Yeah, what got you into child development?
So, when I went off to college many years ago, my major was fashion merchandising. I had no plans on being anybody's parent, let alone a teacher or anywhere near a classroom. I love fashion, I love clothes, I wanted to be around that. Somewhere between going to class and sitting in lectures all day and going back to my dorm, I was like, you know what? I want to be around people. I think I like people a little bit. And so I changed my major to special education. I think that my inspiration behind that was I have a nephew who was born when I went off to college. And they were, like, the doctors and everything were saying that he was, like, developmentally delayed. His speech was delayed. And I think that he might have been my inspiration behind changing my major a little bit. I love my nephews. I love my family very much. And so if there's information that they don't know or they don't have, I like to be the one to pass it on. It expanded beyond my family, and now it's to other families. And so this podcast will eventually reach more families, not just the families that I service at work and not just my own children or my nephews, but people, the viewers who are watching and tuning in with us every episode. So I do want to just appreciate and acknowledge Cam, my producer, who chimed in with that question, because she will be jumping in and asking more, keeping us engaged with this journey. So, hey Cam.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I'm excited for this journey for you and to hear more about what you're learning, what I can learn, because I'm working with kids too. But I know you have a lot more experience that can help a lot of people.
Thank you, Cam. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And if you have any question, comment, you want to jump in, please do, because I think that it would benefit not just me, but our viewers as well. They might be asking the same question, and I might not think of that question. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Of course.
I think it's important to mention that this podcast was inspired by my journey. I have been in relationships that were not healthy for me. They were not healthy for the other people as well. And when I say relationships, I mean family, friends, significant others, children, because it is very, very, very important to point out that we can have unhealthy relationships with our children. And I believe that it's important to talk about those things and to have a safe space. I had to learn how to set boundaries with my mother. I had to learn how to set boundaries with my significant other, who I'm not with anymore. I had to learn how to love myself and love on who I am as a person, not just a mother or a girlfriend or a daughter. I had to be there for me first. And that's something that I lost sight of while putting on these other hats and taking on these other roles. It was still a question or a void of who is Jules? What is Jules here for? What is Jules like? And I had forgot who I was. And so I think that this podcast is very important to have that space to talk about things that we are facing, challenges that we are having, and difficulties that we are facing as a community. As Black people, we have so many experiences and traumas that have been passed down on us, and we need to talk about them, and we need to be honest and be real about them. You know, sometimes it's okay to laugh and joke and talk about, $200 dates and who's supposed to pay for what, but we also need to talk about why we think that. Why do we, as women, think that we have to do everything? As Black women, we have to do everything. Let's talk about it. My vision for this podcast is that we can be joined by some wonderful men, women in different professions. We have some mental health advocates coming on, and professionals and entrepreneurs, single mothers, married fathers. Like, we need to have these conversations, not from one lens, not from one perspective, but well-rounded, because our community is full of different individuals with different experiences. Okay, so a lot of things that we will be discussing are dear to me, because this is, what I do at work. I meet a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences. So, this podcast, we will be discussing trauma. We will be discussing things that we've gone through that have helped shape us into who we are, but they are not who we are. We will also be discussing the transition from working and full-time job too, maybe being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. We'll be discussing entrepreneurship and what that looks like for a single mother or a family who's losing that income. We're also going to be discussing child development and what's appropriate for them as children. Conscious parenting or positive parenting, whatever you want to call it, it starts with us as parents, because we have to hold that mirror up to ourselves to see what it is that we need to change and we need to work on to create those healthy habits and those healthy relationships with our children, with ourselves, with our family and friends. So we'll discuss that, positive parenting and discipline. We will be discussing comparison and how it is the thief of joy. We're going to get into that and how looking at our friends, looking at our neighbors and comparing ourselves to them, and we don't know the steps that they took to get where they are. We're going to talk about that. And also with children, because we compare things that our children do and what our friends' children do. It's so important to understand how each child is different and each child grows at their own pace. And it's a burden that we place on ourselves and on our children when we compare them to other people. I believe that each child is unique. I believe that they all deserve and are worthy of love just for being. And I don't think that they should be exposed to our own insecurities, our standards that are unrealistic.
Why calm, Jules? Convos with Jules.
I think that a lot of times people have this mindset of get up and go. We have to get up and do XYZ before the day is over. This space is our opportunity to slow down and really be present in who we are and present in what we need and what we want. I'm hoping that these conversations, which are conversations that I have with my friends, where we can just talk about our fears, we can talk about our insecurities, we can talk about how we parent and what we want for our children. And I think that this space will give that voice to many people who are and believe they are voiceless. This is, and I'm speaking from myself right now, someone who didn't think that what I had to say mattered. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I am not going to silence myself because it makes others uncomfortable. These conversations are uncomfortable to say, maybe I could be a better parent, or maybe I could be kinder to my neighbor, or maybe I could be kinder to my coworkers or whoever. You have to figure out why you're not in the first place. What is it? What barrier is hindering that growth? I'm just hoping that we are able to really talk about real shit, because this shit is hard. It is adulting. Oh my God, I wish my mother would have told me about that. the bills is due all throughout the month, not just one day, okay, it's a scam. And especially since COVID, where people have lost their jobs, lost their family, lost their friends, and not just they moved away, but they died. A lot of people passed away. And that's traumatic and it's scary. And we need to talk about it. I know that personally I've changed in the last 3 or 4 years, just in how I intend on being more present, because you never know. You get sick or you lose your job, what do you have? And it's important to really sit with yourself and sit with people who care about you and love you and are gonna be honest with you. Like, friend, you think like that? You think that you handled that situation the best way that you could? Okay, well, here's a tip on how you can do it better next time. Because we need that. Like, we need people who are gonna challenge us and encourage us to be our better selves so that we can get to our best. And then we'll get to the second best, the best that we can. I know that it's really hard to change, but I think we need to start with conversations that matter to our community, that can propel our community forward. So I said all of that to say that this shit is hard. Lifing is hard. Adulting is hard. Parenting, all the things is hard. And I'm not just saying as a parent, because there are people who are not parents, who want to be parents, who don't want to be parents. And their perspectives matter, because as a community, everything that we do impacts one another. Cam.
Yes.
Are you a parent?
No.
Would you like to be eventually?
I want to adopt, but that's a long way down the line.
And you know what? I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful, because there are children that need somewhere to be, someone who loves them. I work with foster parents who are seeking that additional support on how to interact with these new additions to their homes.
I'm kind of looking into that, fostering and then adopting, if that's an opportunity I'm given.
But you also work in education, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I just do before and after care at a school in Shaker.
So you kind of like an adopted teacher.
Some of them appreciate me.
You know what? A lot of times we don't appreciate, especially when we're younger, we don't appreciate the people that we have in that moment until 5 years, 10 years later, we like, you know what? I remember she said that to me, or she gave me that extra support because I was struggling with my math or my science or whatever. And they'll remember. And that is the point. That is why this is important. Because in order for us to have that positive impact on other people, we have to adjust ourselves.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, especially now that I'm working with the kids, I see the way that I'm remembering the teachers that did help me along the line, and it makes me reflect on how I was as a kid and who helped me. And I'm sure that happens as a parent, like thinking, oh, this is what's an impactful statement that my parent gave me, and I hope this is as impactful for you,
Mm-hmm.
daughter.
You know that saying that's not if it apply, let it fly. Take what you can and take what you need and then let the rest go. That's not the saying. I don't remember the exact saying. We're going to come back to it. But basically, that's what we do throughout life. We take what we need and then the rest, you just let it go. So, thank you for joining me for this first episode of Calm Convos with Paige. I am excited to dig into these conversations and talk to some very interesting people about some troubles and trials and tribulations that they are facing and how we can work together to find a solution for them. I want you all to stay updated on episodes and other things that's coming from us. You can follow me on Instagram at cupofjewels_. And you can follow our podcast at Calm Convos Podcast. And then you can find us in this podcast on the LaunchArts Media socials. What are
Like
YouTube, Instagram, and you can keep up with us. You can find Cammera wherever Cammera is. She's gonna be in front of the camera eventually. Cammera, we'll get you over here.
I'm the camera. Behind the camera. Oh.
Right.
In due time.
Right next to me. And we'll have some exciting conversations about that before and after care. So make sure that you guys stay tuned, and I cannot wait to dig in. Before we go, I do want to shout out one of my friends who makes her own candles, handmade soy candles. This one is called Abundance, and that's what we're welcoming into our lives. I believe that God calls us to do things, and we don't get to say what we're gonna do with those things because our goal is to just be obedient. I also want to leave us with a quote that I have been using since I was younger, and it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. The quote is, "Don't be pushed by your problems, be led by your dreams." And that's important to me because it's so easy to just make a list of things that we need to do in the day and to avoid some negative consequence or whatever. But I think that what's more important is to not run from problems, but to run towards our goals and run towards things that fulfill us and bring us life and help us be present in who we are now. Not things that happened in the past, not experiences that may have hurt us, but run towards things that help heal us. I am so grateful that you have made it to this point in this episode, and I look forward to seeing you guys, speaking to you. You can always DM me, you can write me a note on the comments or in the comments just to let us know that you are here with us. Until next time, I want you all to be present in the moment and appreciate where you are now, because this is just a moment in time. Peace. Calm Convos podcast. Say that 3 times fast, Cam.
Calm Convos podcast. Calm Convos podcast. Calm Convos podcast.
You almost did it. www.LaunchArts Media. And .com.